Raise your hand if you want a pineberry update. I know you do. Here it comes. In the spring, I shared with you when I was planting out some pineberries, and then we moved them down here to where the unfortunate apple tree was. It is being replaced in the spring. But we brought the pineberries down here so that they could put down some runners and get established on this side. And they did a little bit of that, even despite the heat and the drought and all that. So you can see the tree is here. We had the small pot of pineberries here. Did not put down runners, which I knew it wasn't because it kept all of its runners inside the pot. And then the other one was right over here. And this patch between the echinacea and the comfrey. And look, pineberry plants. They are rooted. They're making new leaves. And we've got a little bit right here and then a little bit right here. It's not perfect. It's not a whole lot, but it is established over here. Now, I'm going to be getting that area as well as the area where I moved them ready for winter today. Tonight, we are expecting 30-degree weather, which isn't bad. And they've already been through one freeze. But next week on Tuesday, we are expecting 14 degrees. And the following night, I believe we're expecting 18. So if all of that stays kind of how we're thinking it's going to be, I want to protect them a little. When I started doing all of the general winter prep, I moved the pineberries up here. And I grouped them with all of my mint potted plants as well. So here's that pineapple mint you'll love, and we've got lemon balm, spearmint, orange mint, chocolate mint, and peppermint. I grouped them together so that when we have cold weather, they can work together and block each other. The wind comes from that way, so I have them on the lower side. This guild is kind of domed. All right, so here we go. There's the smaller pot, there's the larger. All of the larger pot's runners were cut and left over by the other tree. The smaller pot is the one that had its runners winding inside the pot. So when we came over here, I pulled them out. And this is what they've done. So you can see that we have the two runners coming out of this pot, and they come down onto the ground and they sprawl out. They are running into the pineapple mint, which is fun. These are not rooted. They are just sitting on top of the mulch and the bedding. And that is something that we are going to address right now. You know, or maybe you don't know, that I leave some of my plant skeletons in place so that insects can overwinter inside of them. I'm going to leave this okra and I'm just going to break down this zinnia and leave it in place. So I'm just going to pop the stems like that. And that way I can work around my pineberries that need a little bit of something to grab into and need some insulation, as well as the pineapple mint that's over here. I'm going to put compost kind of where they're trying to set down so they have something nutritious to reach into. And I'm going to put a little bit of compost in their pots just to feed them. And then I will come back over with mulch. Oh, that was bad. I just popped that off, grabbing a handful of grass. And that is my whole runner. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. No, wait, look. It's still attached to the other end. It was two runners. I popped one. That's not good either, but it's better. So be careful when you're pulling grass. Okay, so I'm just gonna set these down. The little bottoms that are trying to be crowns, I'm gonna put them close to the earth. And I grouped them up. Now, what am I going to do with this? This one is trying to root. So I'm going to put this one into the pot. And I think I'm going to take a stick That stick didn't bend. I just laid the stick across it and put it down into the soil so that it's going to hold it there, and then I am just going to hope that I didn't destroy this whole thing. I'm glad the other runner was there. So all these little spots, they were straggling way over that way, and I pulled them over here. I'm going to give them a little compost. The base of the pineapple mint is over here. I'm going to give it a little compost, and then I'm going to drop a little bit in each of these pots. This is the compost that I finished a couple of months ago, and it's been sitting next to the compost bin in a little pile. I get those bamboo toothbrushes that are supposed to be compostable, and I pulled 2 out of this pile and put them back in the compost bin, and there's already one in there. So I'm gonna say those take at least a year to break down unless you're doing like really hot composting. I'm not trying to bury those. I'm just making sure that they have something to grab, some sort of like soil type substance to grab. All of my mints, I know they're looking kind of sad. I cut them all off and just left them a couple of inches of plant material at the bottom a week ago, maybe? So they can concentrate their energy into their roots for now, and they can think about regrowing in the spring. Oh, I roughed up the orange mint and it smells amazing. I shook that down a little to make sure it's not sitting on top of the leaves. I'm gonna mulch in between, around, and over all of these pots. So what I'm gonna do to make that easy is I'm just gonna pull some of them away and get mulch between here. In between, this is just gonna seal up some of the air gaps. We just wanna cover it all, make sure it's all nice and tucked in and safe. So that was between. I'm gonna come back with some more for around and over, and then I'm gonna lightly mulch the ones that are on the ground. Ooh, Godzilla to me. Oh. Whew, super Godzilla to me. With my allergies and asthma, this is definitely a job that I should do with a mask on, but I left it inside. Here's where my runners come out of the pot. So I'm gonna let my mulch go over that, and then I'm just tucking in where they touch the ground. When we talked about these in the spring, I had told you that they don't produce fruit in the first year usually, and that proved to be true. They did not. Although I will say that the strawberries that we have over there entirely stopped producing during the heat. That was something that came up in garden groups for our whole area. Everybody's strawberries stopped producing. The one pineberry plant that I had that was a year old, I don't think it would have done anything this year anyway because of the heat. So I don't know if that was its age or the heat or both. They did grow very well. They are supposed to be more heat tolerant and more cold tolerant than strawberries, and that seems to be true so far. They kept growing and kept sending out runners after the strawberries had slowed down and were not growing anymore and were not sending out runners and were dying back. I do have strawberries still. I will take you over there eventually and show them to you. They didn't handle the heat quite as well as the pineberries did. That is Newbie. Y'all met him in a video last week. He is my housemate's cat. I'm gonna get on with getting the rest of this bed prepped for the cold. If you have experience with pineberries, if you have eaten them or grown them, or if you have any advice for me, if you have any questions about them, please drop those down in the comments. If I don't know your answers, I will tell you that. I taught children for 28 years. I am very good at saying, I don't know, let's find out. Thank you for joining me on this pineberry update. Later, y'all.